Hey, what's going on, guys? Sam Climber here, back with another video. Guys, I'm going to be starting up a little, I guess, video series where I record like the entire time. You're not going to miss out on a lot, and if I do skip some parts, it's because I just went without a bite, and you're just going to be looking at random footage of me casting, and that's no fun. This little video series is really going to be here to help you develop patterns, learn to develop patterns on the water, kind of get my thinking on some of the strategies that I go through when I tackle a new body of water. I am at a little pond here in Stephenville. I guess it's not little. I have to take a boat out to get many places, but this is for y'all to see what a normal day on the water is like for me, see what it's like for me, and hopefully it'll give you a little insight into how I think on the water and some of the baits that you might be able to use on your bodies of water where you live, maybe on the lake, at ponds, so somewhere like that. So hopefully you enjoy. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so right here I am actually using a lipless crankbait. This is a Strike King red eye shad. It's not a two-tap version. The color is basically, I think it is a straight white in here. I think this was the first cast actually, straight down over the flat that I was fishing. So over the past couple weeks I found a bunch of fish on this flat. And I could fire out there in little weed beds, grass lines, and they would be stacked up in there. So we're kind of on the tail end of that right now. The fish are starting to move down the bank, and I found that I can still catch fish on the flat. There's just not as many. And as I'm going through here, I actually made so many casts with the lipless, up and down at different angles, basically fan casting, trying to find another weed bed, because I really like those weed beds to hold on, especially when they're about to move up to feed for fall. In a little bit here, I'm actually going to be switching over to a chatterbait. So the two main baits that I have are a chatterbait and a lipless crankbait, and those two baits are really, really good for covering a lot of water and also, fishing very efficiently. The lipless, as you can see, I just put it down, but the chatterbait is great for throwing at specific cover. I like throwing it at wood, directly through lily pads and stuff like that. And there we go. I just put down the lipless, picked up the chatterbait, and very first cast with it, hook into a real good one here. The lipless I really love for open water stuff, and chatterbait I can really slow down and pick apart specific cover during different times of the year. So I think I actually go into some of my setups a little later in this video, so we're going to skip that for now. But there we go, another 3.5-ish in the boat. I've got 17-pound fluoro on, using Seagar Invisex on this one, I believe. But there we go, very healthy fish, chunky fish. They're feeding up. And I kind of skipped over here. Now we're fishing some pads, trying to bring that chatterbait through. And they just weren't really in them. I really had a very, very good day out here fishing the pads, and I caught almost like 29 pounds on a frog, and they just weren't having it. I'm throwing my frog a little in here, and they just really weren't in this creek. And I think here we're going to go ahead and get into some of the setups I have once I get into a little windy spot.
Well, guys, two fish in the boat, one on a rabble trap, one on a jackhammer chatterbait. But it's real tough today. Post front conditions, the wind's really getting it. I'm gonna probably be stuck back here in this cove until the wind dies down. So I'm gonna probably take this time and make a couple product videos. Today's episode of, I don't even know what I want to call this series. Straight up fishing, might call it that, something like that, where it's gonna be almost completely unedited. Like, I'm gonna show like fails and there's traffic behind me, but it's gonna be one of those videos where it's literally a straight day of fishing for me. I'm not gonna make it seem like I totally whacked them. But today's video is really brought to you by YoloTech. This is the juice box. It's plugged into the Tacticam, but the juice box will allow me to record an extra 6.5–7 hours worth of recording time. Now, I don't have the battery inside the Tacticam right now, so I'll probably get around 6.5–7 hours of recording time. Right now I'm on between 175%. There's some really cool features here where it shows you what your battery percentage is, and it's got some cool action camera quick connect things here, so you can connect your action camera on top. You can plug this into like a chesty mount. You can put it on a power stick, which if you have the power stick, then you're probably getting power already, but YoloTech makes it super easy to record all day, not have to worry about any of that. So it's real tough. The fish are kind of moving on me. I had them schooled up on that point you saw me fishing. I moved like 20 yards at a time. But I guess we'll go over some of the rods that I'm throwing. So first up off the bat, that's been really doing all the damage for me is this 7.5 favorite hex rod. I'm just gonna say favorite once. I'm not gonna say it anymore. So this is the hex rod by favorite. 7'5" medium heavy. Now I really love this rod because it's got a good mix of backbone and also parabolic bend in it, which is perfect for a lipless crankbait like this. In the situation that I'm fishing, there's a lot of submerged grass that's finally dying out, so I think the fish are finally moving out of it. But there's a lot of submerged grass, and before all that grass started dying is I had this lipless on a B-lat 6-stick rod like this one, except this is a 610. I had it on the 7.2. And the 7.2 just has a lot more parabolic bend in it, not a lot of backbone. This guy right here, with the extra length, I can keep the rod tip up, fish it at whatever depth I want, plus the backbone allowed me to rip this trap out of the grass, and as you can see, I mean, it's been beaten up pretty good. The other side's missing an eye, hook rash everywhere, bite marks everywhere, so this guy's been really doing it for me the past couple weeks. Another rod, so this is going to be my bladed jig, my flipping jigs, you know, heavier Texas rig rod. This is the Big Sexy 7'2". This is a discontinued model actually. This is the LFG Big Sexy. So while I was working at the warehouse up in Missouri, I saw it and I was like, oh my god, I used to have one of these, and I couldn't buy any more because they stopped making them. But it's a great rod. It's got a little bit shorter. This is a 7.2 heavy. This is a 7.2 medium heavy. It's got a little bit shorter butt end, which really helps actually for me in my case. I do like longer butt ends, but if I'm fishing something like this, I really don't need that extra long butt end. It kind of hurts my ribs a little bit. I'm sweeping the hook like that. Now, this guy right here, this is a 7.2 Big Sexy Heavy, standard edition, and something like a frog, I really need that extra torque, you know, when I'm getting them out of that. And all the line I have, or all the line that I have on my reels right now are actually going to be Seagar lines. So I've got 15 pound Braze X on this guy here, 50 pound Seagar Smackdown on this guy in Stealth Gray. This guy's got 17, I believe, in VizX, so it's a little less pullable, malleable line, so it's really great at high shock absorbance. So I really like the VizX for my bladed jigs and also my flipping jigs and all that Texas rigs. So this guy right here, I haven't used him much today. I accidentally dropped him in the water. You may have seen some of that. But this is the B-Lat 6-stick. It's a 6'10" medium. I've just got a tiny little swim bait on there, so if I see him busting bait, I can quickly fire this out. It's got 12 pound, a Braze X on it, really good cranking rod, really great cranking reel also. But I just put a little swim bait on it, you know, real quick, easy, just fling it out there, and hopefully try to get some schoolers, little 6 cents swim bait. So that's kind of what I got going on, trying to save some energy up to paddle back out. Some other goodies that I found really working right now. What I might do actually today, with all this wind, this used to be a Chrome Sexy Shad lipless crankbait. As you can see, it's seen a lot of wear and tear, and that happened about 4 or 5 weeks ago, where it just completely lost all of its color. It's pretty close to this, so I think I'm going to tie it on. There's a lot of wind, so I'm going to have to fish it a lot slower, just because it rises in the water column a lot more.
Alright, so here's me trying to paddle out of this cove with all the wind pushing me. It was an absolute pain in the butt. I was really worn out, so I had to paddle over to the other bank where the wind wasn't as bad. And I mean, this absolutely took forever, but in a little bit here, I kind of get on a little pattern. I start noticing certain things. The fish are setting up a little differently than the way they used to be about a week ago. And it was really weird. I looked back through the footage, and actually every time I set my rod down and cast it at like a specific target that I figured they'd be there, they were actually there. So that was really cool. I go back down this bank again, and right now, like I said earlier, the fish are really getting ready to move shallower. The water at this point is only about 70-ish, 72 maybe. So it's starting to cool down, but once it gets below 70, you know, in the 68s and stuff, those fish are going to be nice and shallow, busting top water, pushing bait back. And I just pick up the chatterbait here, paralleling down this bank. It's got some big chunk rock in the water, and I was just slow rolling it, and this guy just picked it up. I barely even felt the bite. It just got heavy. So he was definitely sitting up there waiting to ambush shad or bluegill. There's some massive bluegill and crappie in this pond here. So he was up there getting ready to feed. This one was another very nice one, about almost a 3-pounder, probably around a 2.7, 2.6. Had a massive head on him, nice skinny body. But there we go. So we're gonna keep going down this bank here, and you know, pick up the lipless this time. I switched over to a 1/4 ounce since the 1/2 ounce really just got down a little too far, and as soon as it hit the water there, sunk down onto a little piece of hard cover. I think it was a little tree limb. There's a little guy sitting on it, and he kind of just ate it out of reaction bite. So it hit the water, and I guess he was just looking up, and he just got it real quick. So I went down that entire bank. Got one more bite, missed one, and then here, watch this, guys. This fish actually has the bait the entire time here, and I'm just trying to catch up to him, and there we go, finally caught up to him. And those fish are getting it right now. You know, it's fall time. The fish's metabolisms are starting to slow down. They've got more energy. They can move a lot faster, and they're much more aggressive. So this one really surprised me. Don't do that the way I put my rod tip up, because if they dive, you're going to high stick your rod and break it. But this guy absolutely choked that lipless, and then I'm going to get off the pond and then catch up with you in the car.
Alright guys, headed back to the school, back to the dorm, about to get some dinner. I would say it was a pretty standard day of fishing, nothing great. The fish definitely were not schooled up like they normally are. That's okay though. You know, we got on a bite a little later, switching between the chatterbait and the lipless crankbait. You know, those two baits have to be some of my like top 5. Those two baits in particular are probably my top 5 fall baits right now. You know, those fish are moving a lot. The weather's cooling down. The water's cooling down. Those fish are moving. So if you can cover a lot of water, you're doing good. And the lipless crankbait, you know, you can fish it at almost any depth. Great at getting reaction strikes, buzzing it by cover or buzzing it open water and seeing if they'll react to it and follow it and chase it. Same thing kind of goes with the chatterbait. You know, I really love the chatterbait almost all times of the year. Generally, I will throw a spinnerbait over a chatterbait, but the chatterbait in smaller water is great. It is a great way to cover different targets. You can cast at specific things, and that's really what I did today. I switched between those two mainly. That's what I actually caught all the fish on. Nothing was sitting on top water. The lake's a little low that I was at, so that's the main reason why the fish weren't eating top water. The pond, lake, whatever you want to call it, went down about 1/2 foot. So, you know, they do a lot for me, especially YOLO Tech, Tacticam, keeping me recording all day. I don't have to worry about switching out SD cards or switching out battery packs. So, again, this whole video wouldn't really be possible without the YOLO Tech juice box. You know, keeps me recording up to literally like 8 hours. Got a massive SD card to go through, so we're gonna go through all the footage and hopefully y'all will have a little nice video. So anyway guys, I'll see you next time. Peace out.